been a year now since I walked up this walkway to this old house, Satoshi Manor. It was my house then, a year ago, but it wasn't my home. It is now. So this is the last video post I'm going to do on Vagabond of Satoshi Manor. So I think I just going to walk you through my house, show you some of the features and things that I love about it and have enjoyed, and then close out the year on that way. So there's been a lot of work done here. I haven't done major renovations or anything like that, but you know, putting the screen door in and solving all the mold issues, that was probably the biggest thing. The mold issues, they continue a little bit because the house is old, mostly in the tatami mat rooms. This room, the living room, it is really and truly the living room. You know, there's of course my art and the door and my guitars and my desk made from an old cabinet that was in the shed. And it's just more and more this place became mine. And, that includes like things like having my instruments here, having my stuff here, having the photos of my daughter here, my little bonsai tree I'm making, Carl, monkey, my TV, and there were things that were here, but mostly the things that were here even are now mine too. And that's kind of weird to say. Of course they're mine. They were mine a year ago, but they're mine in a different way now because they're part of my home and a part of my life and reality. Some of the changes that I made, almost none of the sliding doors worked when I came in, and screens were not really an issue. There were so many bugs in the house. It was so dirty and took so much to clean. And I got rid of so much stuff, but the imprint, of course, is everywhere of this becoming my house and my home. And I've tried to keep small pieces of what it was before, like the pots and pans, and also big changes have happened, with the doors and the fixes and everything else. So the kitchen, you can see it is what it is. This room, the first tatami mat room, I think the mold issues have mostly been solved. I mean, the problem is that in the summer months, it gets hot and humid, and that heat and humidity finds its way, I think, up through the floors, and things just mold. In Japan, it's a big problem. But the mask room, Sophia, my daughter, she's made 3 of these masks. Other ones are just ones that I've picked up along the way. One was a gift from a couch surfer. My bike, and I use this room mostly for drying laundry in the times when you can't draw laundry. This is Sophia's room, also the guest room. Piece of art by Sophia, and a piece of art that my friend Bill gave me, one of the first pieces of art to hang in this house. And this poster I bought in Oregon, and it sort of represented me and Sophia, and we used to love beachcombing on the Oregon coast. So I kept this, and it's so nice to have it hanging now in Satoshi Manor. Buddha's traveled with me a long way, like these statues. It's funny the things that I've chosen to bring, like a honzon. That's not funny. The funny part is, just seeing what my bags are sometimes. They contain things that must seem really weird to customs. This is pretty cool. This is all of so the lights in this room didn't work at first. This room was a real disaster area. It was like, it was so gross. But it's super cool that all of these people from all over the world have stayed with me and left their mark here. There's been a few other guests as well, but almost everybody has signed the guest closet, and that will continue to be a tradition. I should show you the bathroom while we're downstairs before we go upstairs, because the bathroom, the crows, we'll talk about the crows in a minute. The bathroom is an ode to capitalism, not in the nicest way. So There's no place to take a crap like America. Now, I leave that as what it is, but credit cards on one wall, coins on the next wall, glued there. These are largely worthless coins, but, meaning they're worth a penny or less than a penny each, but it's kind of a cool thing to do with art. And currency from a few of the places that I've traveled, a little bit of currency from some guests, and that's electronic money, Bitcoin, if you will. So you can screenshot that if you want and look up my first Bitcoin wallet, which has nothing in it, by the way, but that's something you could do if you're that kind of person. The tatami mats at some point will need to be replaced, and I don't detail all of the changes and upgrades, but there are things. I had to replace the stove. I had to replace the heater, which was really the most massive expense was the heater and the hot water heater, which both run on kerosene. Had to refurbish the kerosene tank and the pipes. Luckily, the washing machine has worked from day one. It's starting to have some problems now. The bathroom was literally the bathroom, which is on a completely different corner than the toilet room on the other side of the house. But the shower room, it works. It's not, the most relaxing, awesome place to take a shower, but it would be cool someday to put a window in there so you could sit and look out the window. So in the entryway here, before I take you upstairs, some of the things that I found in the house are still here. A little coal scuttle, which is kind of cool. And a few things that, another painting from Bill, some posters from different places, and pieces of art from different people. The stairs, I added this stylistic touch, which kind of makes it cool. This piece of art was so great because I was like, oh, that's for my stairs, to tell people slowly, like a cloud, go up the stairs. Now, one of my favorite features about this house is this window, which is a very Ainu window. Now, Ainu architecture is really unique, and one of the things they have is a window that faces towards a water source or a mountain, and this one faces directly to the water source and the mountain, and you're not supposed to bring anything in or out through that window. It's high up, so it would be impractical to do that anyway, but I love this window. Every morning I look out it, get to see my garden and what the neighbors are doing. This was from a mountain I climbed in China in 2001, Taishan. What's really funny is everything is made in China, right? But this that I bought in 2001 in China was made in Korea. Kind of funny. I haven't done anything with this area yet, except clean it. This is my huge closet that someday I'll do something with. It's a weird space because it's kind of a weird size. My office has become my office. I haven't brought all my books here, of course, but I do have some, and some things, like my grandfather's kufa from when he lived in Saudi Arabia. All of these Kokeshi dolls were here, which is kind of cool. I emptied out the clock, and that's my original hat, which, original hat meaning the vagabond hat. So home is where you hang your hat. Pretty cool. A few things that I brought with me. The books that I've written, not including the ones that I've written since being here in this house. And some special things. Like this was from my friend Debbie in Mona Lisa in Lake Toba, Parapat. I brought this, which I bought for $10 at an estate sale somewhere, I think in California, maybe. Another Ulos, my old shoes, Moroccan carpets, and my collection of NFT merch, hats, which is funny, my cases, and this I also bought in China, which I've always loved. It's a cloth, painting. The yakata, skateboards and mirrors and things. So that's the inside of the house. My bedroom is so comfortable. I really, really love it. The only problem is, for some reason, I wake up so early, maybe because the light shines directly through. It faces to the east, so I get the sunshine bright and early in the morning. And it's funny, I always use the door that goes through the office. I almost never walk over here and use the door to the bedroom. And of course, I love that these doors separate the office from the bedroom, but the whole upstairs is really, my space. And when I have guests stay, the upstairs is mine and they use the guest room, Sophia's room. So, with that being said, that's what the inside of the house looks like today. There is, of course, the shed, which I probably should show you the shed, because that was a big mess before. I don't want to put on my muddy shoes, but I'm gonna anyway. Get my feet all muddy. So the shed was packed with stuff, a lot of stuff that was garbage and that I got rid of, but also a lot of really useful stuff that I've used through the year, I can say, to make improvements and to fix things and, make the garden, stuff like that. Let's see. Go out the front door. So that was the shed. It's kind of like indoor mud room, stuff like that. There's so many little things that I've repaired and fixed here. Things that you might not notice, and I might not even notice enough to say something, but like things that just didn't work or that weren't quite right. And I'm proud of the fact that I fixed those, that I made this from a broken home that was really uninhabitable to my home, which is quite comfortable, which people really enjoy when they come and visit, and which is really just kind of an awesome place. So, coming outside, the porch entryway, unfortunately, the snow did at one point crack the glass there. I'm not the most assiduous at cutting the grass and things like that because I don't have a weed whacker or don't really want one. But the garden has really become a joy in my life. Although the past few days, the murder hornets have become really, really aggressive towards me. So I've finally put out bee traps. I was not going to use them, but they've become aggressive, so I put the traps out because really, if you're going to become aggressive with me, just die, motherfucker. And unfortunately, it wasn't just the murder hornets that became aggressive. On one of my morning runs recently, I was attacked by crows running through the park, which was a big bummer. No bees in the trap so far. I may have to get beer, which is what I'm told that they really like. Back here was so overgrown, so filled with garbage. I've talked about that before, but it was really an astoundingly overgrown, terrible kind of space that scared me for a lot of reasons. I mean, because I didn't know what was back here. There's a river that runs through, and, some of the garbage has remained, Mr. Roboto and Inu-san, his dog. Some of the stuff has become useful things, like my bench, and I made this stone path, and the torai, which goes to the garden, which I kept this path clear through the winter and now through the summer. The old carpets here have really helped. The baby head, she was dug up in the dam, and now she's the guardian spirit. Also Stonehenge. So my garden has been a pretty great source of joy, but now I've got these little caterpillars that are just destroying my spinach. I thought that I had pepper plants, but now I'm thinking that it's ragweed, that somehow the seeds got into where I planted the pepper plants. Carrots are coming along. The other greens have been delicious lately. I've been eating all of them. And yeah, so this is it. You can see my irrigation system, which gradually is getting more and more able to withstand the attacks of the crows. My compost bin, which I turned the compost this morning, is pretty functional. I like the other torai gate there. On a day like today, it really stands out. And the grapes along there The challenge is to keep them out of the trees and to kind of force them to grow as a natural sort of fence there, which is what I would like to do. It's weird that no deer come back here. There are deer on the mountain, but I don't get them here, and they don't eat my lettuce, which is great. The dam has really worked out to be functional. And there is a bee right there. Look at that guy. Don't be aggressive, dude. Live and be happy. Be happy. Not a murder hornet. They're much more orange and bigger. So I'm happy there's no murder hornets back here right now. I don't want to jinx myself, but that's it. This is Satoshi Manor, and I'll walk back around to the front. You know, there's just so much special stuff here. It's really hard to put it all, to quantify it all. I guess I should get out of here before I get bit by the black flies or attacked by the murder hornets or the crows. But the heat of the day is usually about the safest point to be wandering around in the garden. It's the evening when the mosquitoes come out. That's the hard part. So, over here, year-round, it seems like, not year-round, maybe not in the winter, but there do seem to be wildflowers that grow in almost every season, and the changing of the leaves. I unwrapped and opened up the magnolias and the azaleas, and hopefully they'll come back to life. This winter I'll prepare them all in quite a way. A little lizard down there. Not a snake, just a lizard. Tomato plants, which I'm going to be in Taiwan, so I probably won't be able to harvest the tomatoes. I hope they survive. Sunflowers, a gift from my neighbor, along with some squash growing there. And this is it. So, thanks for joining me on this 1-year experiment with Satoshi Manor. This is my home, so I'll be back to it. But my intention was to live the 4 seasons at Satoshi Manor and to discover what it was like to live in this house and in this town for a year in Japan. Mission accomplished. And if you want to know the truth, what it's like is it's awesome. I love it. It's my home. Thanks for joining me. Aloha.